Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. Showing from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Tuesday's edition of VOP this morning on Voice of the People Television, and I welcome you to today's edition of the show. I am Fina Okechukwu. We have interesting lineups for us to, discuss this morning. Tension heightened in Rivers State after the local government elections. That was on Saturday, as thugs killed one, set LG Secretariat ablaze. Chairman flee. Oh, what a wonderful one happening now in Rivers State. And also, Asab Tinubu's shortcoming as a Yoruba son, he will still serve another 4 years. And that is coming from the former governor of Oyo State, Oshoba. He tells Nigerians, give Tinubu another chance for another 4 years. I'm not alone in the studio. As the case may be, I have I call them my elder brothers.
Well, if you're ever alone, then it's not the breakfast show.
Exactly.
Because we have to all be here for it to be complete. Oh, well, good morning and welcome. Welcome to the program. I'm Moses Humphrey. And yes, Fina has briefed you on a few of the issues that will be touching our radar, our searchlight on this morning. And we do encourage that you stay with us as we get into these conversations. But don't forget to have a full dose of everything. Be part of the family. Join us on YouTube. We are Voice of the People TV. And on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live.
I'm Chukwuma Okoro. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Well, Chukwuma was a lot more lively before we came on the air. I guess the issues in Rivers State is beginning to affect him because he was just talking like, oh my goodness, what is going on here? What is going on? Oh, well, it's what do we call this now? Oh, well, before we touch on the Rivers craziness, we hear that some Nigerians, we hear that trekking has become a norm in certain parts of Nigeria. In Lagos, workers have to trek a long distance. Some of it is to ensure that with the monies they have can, take them to work and bring them back home. So they cover some distance on foot, and the rest they pay for transportation. And that happens when they're on their way back home as well. Well, trekking has, of course, become a norm. Bauchi residents say this is what they're saying in Bauchi State, as transport fares have risen to about 300%. But it's not just Bauchi State, some other places as well. Oh, well, that's our reality at this time.
You don't need to test someone, you need to burn calories.
No, you don't have to.
One of the days when I said
calories are burned, every day as you go out. Oh, well.
All the same, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, is ending its exclusive purchase agreement with Dangote Refinery. They are opening up the market for other marketers to be able to, purchase petrol directly from the refinery. This means NNPC will no longer be the sole off-taker, and marketers can now negotiate prices directly with Dangote Refinery. I know when the first time we heard about this thing, Chukuma, you were like, why should we? Why? Why is it that NNPCL is the only one that will be the sole off-taker of the petrol? Now we have it. They reverse it.
But before now, NNPC had also said that they were not going to be the sole off-taker of Dangote Refinery products. So I don't know why this news is trending now.
No, the petrol, they said they are the ones that will do. And that was why we're having issues. Why should we? Why not? We have the Jet A, and no one is talking about that, the diesel and all that. Why should it be only on petrol? And then now, Dangote came up to tell us other things that NNPCL were requesting, more like having an office in their refinery. And that made Nigerians to ask, why should we have something?
You see, I'm not sure Nigerians are over the issue between NNPCL and Dangote, because the thing keeps evolving every other day. It goes back and fought. So you don't even know where we are now. Like, private independent marketers are now free to go and buy from Dangote Refinery. We don't even know if Dangote Refinery ended up giving NNPCL an office. I think yesterday, or was it last week, we heard that NNPC withheld 8.7 trillion naira, and they didn't pay it into the Federation Allocation Account, and all of this. So, like I said, I don't know how soon Nigerians can get over the squabbles between NNPCL and Dangote Refineries. But however it lasts, I think the bottom line is that Nigerians need fuel in their cars to move around, and that the price should also come down. Vina, you were talking about people in Bauchi trekking. It's not only people in Bauchi. Lagosians are trekking too. And you recall that we had a former minister, John Madekwe, who said, Moses, you are giggling. we should go get bicycles because one, there is no fuel. Bicycles don't use fuel. Two, is a form of exercise. Too. So while you are cycling to the office, you are also doing exercise. So people in Bauchi, if you can afford bicycle, please get bicycle. If you can afford fuel to drive your car.
If our roads, well, unfortunately, our roads are not built to accommodate those that ride on, bicycles and all of that. It's unfortunate.
The Lagos Calabar Coastal Way is ongoing. Maybe they can redesign it to accommodate.
Want to ride a bicycle from Lagos?
I can see where you're going to with that.
Well, it's interesting because as I was driving to drop off my significant other at work this morning, I saw queues at filling stations, and we're just having a conversation. And I quickly, when I parked, I quickly checked my phone to see what's going on. And unfortunately, NNPC did say that they were no longer going to be the sole off-taker, all right? So marketers started calling on Dangote, let's have a meeting, let's discuss price. Now, the report of one of the dailies, on Daily Post actually, says, I like the way Daily Post tags it. It says, Dangote Refinery ignores marketers. Marketers have been saying, look, we buy from NNPCL at 840 naira, to 840 to 897, and then we sell at 910, 950, depending on location. But NNPC right now has not started discussing with them how much it will sell PMS.
But marketers Marketers said something earlier. They said they don't mind going off to start importing. Reason being that when they do the importation, they had to benefit from the, any other money that they attach to it.
It will benefit Nigerians more if NNPCL, that is buying in Naira, is selling in Naira. So the whole exchange, dollar thing will not affect the price of PMS.
Have they received the first batch?
Unfortunately. Well, they have, actually, from October 1. Well, unfortunately, I am beginning to see more sense in those that say that NNPCL, I beg your pardon, Dangote Refinery is not ready. I'm beginning to see a lot of sense in it because this back and forth, I don't understand it.
I'm not sure it's about readiness.
I don't think they are ready.
It's about hiding something.
Yeah, they have.
I don't think they are ready.
They have something.
I honestly don't think they are ready.
But they are pushing out fear. They've been pushing out jet A1. They've been pushing out diesel.
Diesel,
yes.
No, it's not about readiness.
So PMS, there's a problem with PMS.
I think that was because we have a high number of Nigerian consumers now, that has to make sure they get fuel, petrol for them to move around. I think that's just a reason for this whole OPEC and city we're having in this.
If you ask me, I think the major...
What businessman would know that, look, there are people coming to buy and I'm refusing to sell because I want to sell to one person in particular. It doesn't make business sense.
We don't really know the policies that they have.
It's an issue of pricing. Yeah. They have not been able to agree on the price.
They haven't even started discussing pricing.
No, they might be discussing.
Marketers are saying they haven't even started discussing pricing.
I mean Dangote and NNPCL.
Well, NNPCL now is saying, I don't want to be the sole off-taker. All right?
No, but
let me step back. Let others come.
But we know before now.
Will still set the prices. You know why? Because they are the one paying the shortfall, not the subsidy. They are the one paying the shortfall.
Subsidy, shortfall. Shortfall is subsidy.
Whatever.
It's one and the same.
They are the one paying the shortfall.
It's one and the same.
They want to ensure that whatever they pay, they are able to make something. Imagine from the shortfall. That
I concur to that.
All right. Well, let's get into another conversation. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, has assured the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, of continued support of the judiciary and the fight against corruption in Nigeria. Oh, well, thanks for that assurance. But one thing we need to deal with is the issue of court orders coming, concurrent orders from concurrent courts coming around confusing Nigerians. And some are saying judges that do that should be penalized. Yeah, and I absolutely agree to that one.
Because it's more like...
That's me hitting the gravel.
Just like what a chieftain in River State said, it's like they're reducing our courts to a place they will go and purchase a judgment and come up. Another person can also go and do that all the same. And then one want to ask, where does that leave the credibility that judiciary system is supposed to have in Nigeria? We know that judiciary happens to be the hope of a common man. Is it the same thing in Nigeria? But I believe with this assurance from the Chief Justice of the Federation, that will have a reverse being the case.
Well, I think it's the case of the kettle and the pot now. So,
one color and the other black.
I don't. Moses, you are the one saying that. I just talked about the pot, the kettle and the pot. But it's good to know that the new CJN, Kekereekun, has promised to fight corruption. Well, Nigerians want to see how that pans out, and they say that he who goes to equity must come with clean hands.
Oh, yes.
You should be able to tell Nigerians, too, why the United States rejected her visa application after she sat on the panel that...
She actually read the judgment.
She read the judgment,
Sat on the panel and read
on
the judgment.
the Imo Goba case, that three up number 4.
They brought 4-1.
The fourth one, the
Miraculous
judgment. She was also a member of the panel, that sat on the 2023 General Petition Tribunal, the Presidential Tribunal, that clearly said, look, this thing from CSU, we cannot accept it. It's not admissible in evidence. Even when the Supreme Court rules, I think Rule 7, number 4 or whatever, on top of my head, I can't remember, clearly said that if in the course of prosecution or in the course of trial, you have fresh evidence that you deem very strong, to somebody's case that it should be admissible. But she was a member of the panel that rejected that, and this is what we have today. Well, Madam CJN, you will do good to let Nigerians know how far you can go in the fight against corruption.
All right, so, well, those are some issues that we just wanted to touch on this morning. Now let's get into conversation proper. Tensions heightened in Rivers State after local government elections as thugs have killed one and set LG Secretariats ablaze. Well, we also hear that newly elected local government chairmen, some of them, had to run away from the Secretariats. Oh, well, before we get into this conversation, let's look at what the papers have for us this morning.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's still VOP this morning on Voice of the People Television. We have a whole lot of the national dailies before our decks this morning. We have the Punch newspaper, the Guardian, the Daily Trust, and a whole lot more. And I would like to take a punch on the Punch newspaper. And the banner headlines here reads, Naira for crude. FG panel proposes 6-month supply for Dangote refinery. The rider to that story. Refinery to get 24 million barrels in 2 months. Fresh concerns over NNPCL sole petrol buyers' role. And that story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And just beside the masthead, we have FG lists 7 states for Mpox vaccination. I'll take that again. FG lists 7 states for Mpox vaccination. And that is on page 26 of the Punch newspaper. And above the nameplate, that's the window headlines. The headlines there are, Fubara camp opposes emergency rule as 3 killed, Secretariat raised. Tinubu warns against anarchy. PDP governors, Clark backs Fubara. The story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. 2027, Obi Kwankwaso alliance proposal will fail, says APC. And we have a pictorial, and this one is from LMA Local Government Area Secretariat, where we have a building, set ablaze, okay? And beneath that pictorial, other headlines there are, Ondo 2 foreign firms shortlisted to buy Trinidad's national refinery. The story is on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. Lagos begins trial of 2 doctors over patient's death. And the last but not the least of the headlines, I made it to cover page of the Punch newspaper this morning. It reads, Nigerians in Lebanon forwards FG over evacuation claims. The story is on page 27 of the Punch newspaper. And those are the headlines I made it to the cover page of the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right, away from the Punch newspaper, let's get to the Daily Trust now. Daily Trust, headlines on the Daily Trust. Tinubu released 1,200 fertilizer bags to each senator, 600 to rep. Bandits kill 8 Zamfara community guards. Sharia Council defends Senator Buba against politically motivated attacks. And then the banner headline there, Rivers crisis escalates. 4 LG secretariats burnt. Tinubu directs IGP to restore order. My meekness, not weakness, Fubara. We are taking steps to address insecurity, disunity in North, ACF. Cholera kills 7 persons in Kanu. FCT primary school teachers suspend strike. Hajj fare to hit 10 million naira as FG stops subsidy. And then another very bold headline, even though it's somewhere at the bottom of the front page of the Daily Trust. Dangote Refinery, Nigerians may pay more for petrol as NNPC quits middleman role. Middle East tension to spark higher fuel cost. 400,000 BPD for Dangote as Naira for crude deal begins. All right, this is where we are. So the queues are, there's no end to it yet. Well, these are the headlines from Daily Trust.
And up next is the Guardian newspaper with the banner headline, State of Emergency stalks Rivers as political talks attack councils. That story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. There's a pictorial there of the president, the IGP, the Beg-Fubara, the governor of Rivers State, Wike, and the Attorney General of the Federation. That seems to be the major players in what's going on in Rivers State. And just below that, you have anti-graft war won't be won by technicalities, declares Tinubu. That story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. NAFDAC champions food labeling standards as workers commence indefinite strike. You can find that story on page 9 of the Guardian. Worries over petrol price as Tinubu deregulates downstream sector. And police arrest Arabishola's loyalists for accusing Oyotola of fusing palliative rice as birthday gifts. 80% of Africans unhappy with delivery of democratic rule, says Aki Kekere Ekun. Reviving comatose technical education beyond enrollment drive. That story is on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. And the downstream headline reads, Court reduces bail of 5 #EndBad governance protesters to 5 million naira each. That's all from the Guardian newspaper.
On the cover page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, the banner headline reads, Rivers, 5 killed. LG headquarters set ablaze. Chairman chased out. Right as to that, as Tinubu directs police to provide LG officers security. Burning of council facility, act of irresponsibility, and that is coming from Fubara, the state governor. Tells Wike, you can't win all fights. Inspect Ikwere local government secretariat. Police mom over attacks. IGP withdraws personnel. Crisis may have security implications on Nigeria, and that is coming from Bode George. LP vows to challenge polls in court. Clark hails Tinubu Fubara on peaceful LG polls. Stakeholders condemn violence, killings in rivers. Action barbaric, cowardice, says Emeka Bele. Work resumes at all secretariat, APP chair. We were victims of attacks, says Promike APC. And the window headlines, we have the headline to be FG NMPCL, Dangote plans change in petrol lifting, according to investigation. The story proper is on page 20 of the Vanguard newspaper. Malnutrition, FG can, in World Bank, unite to save 11 million children. I'll take that again for clarity's sake. Malnutrition, FG can, that's a Christian Association of Nigeria, and World Bank unites to save 11 million children. Court reduces bail to 5 million naira for hashtag End Bad Governance protesters each. The story is on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. Edo Guba, PDP accuses INEC of doctoring beavers, concealing rigging. The story is on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper. And we have a pictorial, a major pictorial that made it to the cover page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Asan at Rivers LGAs. And we have a secretariat already that is burning. And besides that pictorial, autonomy. Don't give workers salary to LGs. Labour begs FG. Don't give workers salary to LGs. Labour begs FG. And then we have a headline on the sport, that's on page 30 of the Vanguard newspaper, CAF. Confederation Cup, Enyimba gets tough Egyptian draw. Tinubu committed to food security, and that is coming from Vice President Shetima. And those are the headlines that made it to the cover page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And that is also how far we can go. You know, looking at the cover page of the National Dailies today. Joins Chukuma and Moses for the newspaper analysis proper, and that will be from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. here on Voice of the People Television. And I will have to move straight to the discussion proper, where we have tension already heightened in River State after the LG election, as talks kill some people and set local government secretariat ablaze, and making the newly elected chairman to flee their offices. Details and more after this quick break. Just stay with us.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. Showing from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice. From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries. Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Barely 3 hours after the River State Police Command announced the opening of previously sealed local government secretariat, violence erupted in multiple areas, resulting in arson, shooting, and deaths. In LMA local government, a part of the secretariat was set ablaze shortly after the newly elected chairman, Brian Gopa, arrived with councillors and supporters. Witnesses said the attack targeted specific buildings within the complex, causing significant destructions. In Kana local government, one person was killed amid sporadic gunfire on the road leading to the rector's lodge. A clash also occurred at Kana Council Secretariat involving members of the PDP and the Action People's Party, APP, following the police withdrawal from the areas. Similar unrest unfolded in several other councils. In Obiapo, the police contained a confrontation where bottles were thrown, while in Ikore, gunmen chased the newly elected chairman and his team from the secretariat. Supporters of the former governor, Nyesom Wike, took control of the Ogba, Egbema, Ndoni local government area secretariat, barring the pro-Governor Fubara chairman from entering. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has called for calm, urging the police to secure the secretariat and protect local government officials. The Rivers State Assembly has also demanded the immediate arrest of those responsible for the violence and destructions across the state. We have a video, linking all to this, the whole topic. We also have where the governor of Rivers State was, talking about how he has apologized, also talked to Nyesom Wike. If that video or those videos or voice notes are ready, we would like to get them.
I can put names here. I can put names, but for some reason, let me leave it. There is nothing I've not done on this earth for peace to reign. I can tell you the truth. I can tell you the number of times that I've kneeled down to beg that let's allow this issue to go. But, I feel, like I said, I don't even want them to talk about this. I've done everything. And if, even as at today, if there's anything that I can do, or there is any way we can get to a point of making peace, I assure you, I'm willing to do it. Because this is important to me. What is important to me is let Rivers State be normal. With all the problem we're having, the wonderful jobs I'm doing in this state, I'm not seeing because of the crisis. It's only when I come out and tell people that I'm doing this or the other, they say, you mean this is what is going on in the state? Because the whole thing everybody is hearing is one crisis or another. If it's not from some set of members of this, it's some group of people. If not from this group, it's from one arm, one security agency. It's. In fact, let me even tell you, there is a report I just got now that with what is happening, that some persons have already been penciled down for arrest because they are close to me. All
right, to help make sense of this topic this morning, we have Dr. Deji Omoshola, Doctor of Political Science, with us in the studio. And joining us virtually is Barrister Henry Ekine, a human rights lawyer. Good morning, Dr. Deji.
Good morning. Thanks.
Good to have you in today's show. What do you make of all this violence and all these issues happening in River State? Given the fact that during the swearing-in ceremony, Governor Fubara said he knew that a particular individual in the state paid some people, some of them 15,000, to go into the local government and cause issues, and yet no one has been arrested. What do you really make of all this?
Well, first, what I made of it when I heard about the violence is, first, we are not there yet. As a country, as a people, if you look at it from the judiciary, it points that if you can be used and it is evidential that you are being used and you allow yourself to be used, it's either you are not independent or you are not matured or you are naturally somebody that yield to unnecessary compromise. So it first sends a signal to me that the Nigerian judiciary, compared to the judiciary in other climes, is not there yet. Then I look at the police. It also points to me that the police is not there yet. They protect life and property, which is something that is important to you. Even you not providing security is like you telling a human being not to breathe. Security in the life of a country is an oxygen in nostril. So if, for any reason, you fail to provide this security, and democracy in Nigeria now has been since 1999 uninterrupted, what that tells you is you are supposed to ordinarily learn from examples. And River State is a peculiar state. So if something is not new, let's say our democracy is 6 months, 1 year, 2 years old, it is excusable. But for a democracy that has been existing since 1999, you want to imagine that, is it that you did not foresee this? And when you now withdraw security agencies from the Secretariat and you withdraw all of them in such a way that it leaves the Secretariat vulnerable, what that tells us is it's either you have compromised, it's either you are complicit, or you are not just a professional.
Before we go too far here, I think we should just take a little breather, watch a few of the videos, and when we come back, I have a question for you. My question basically borders on the election in River State. Some have said the governor overstepped because there was a court order that he shouldn't have conducted that election. Others have said Supreme Court gave an order that elections be conducted. So he did not overstep. I'd like your thoughts on this one, but that'll be after this very short break.
The whole local government council. Your talks to burn government property down. Look at how they burn the whole local government council, element local government.
Interesting. That song, Day Your Day, and we know that song, that song was basically linked to Wike, Day Your Day, make a day my day. Nobody worry, nobody. But unfortunately, people are worrying one another in Rivers State. Well, that's happened at Ikwere local government, where we're being joined by Prince Francis Chilaka. Good morning to you, Prince.
Morning, Moses. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Good to have you this morning.
Thank you.
All right, so let me come back to Doctor now. Now, I asked the question earlier. The court judgments. What's your take?
Okay, my take on the court judgment is, I think, like I said earlier, I didn't even after I was able to, I was thinking of touching like 7 cadres, but I think I've taught just 3. Let me stick to that 3. Thank God that I have pointed out the judiciary, so which is a follow-up question. It's against reaffirm my earlier assertion that it shows that those involved, whether the judiciary, the police, the people, the politicians, the presidency, they are just not there yet, because you won't want to imagine that the Supreme Court, living to its name, is supreme. And every profession has its own hierarchy.
Okay.
So if a judgment is coming from the Supreme Court, for instance, if the Supreme Court in its judgment waves its hand like this, ordinarily, as a lawyer, if the Supreme Court waves its hand like this, it shows that the Supreme Court is saying turn right. Okay. But if you, as a judge, a trained lawyer, LLB, or if you like, LLM, and you graduated from law school, you practice law, then you become a judge, you want to tell me that the Supreme Court that did like this, you are now saying, oh, the Supreme Court did not say go right. But the Supreme Court did not wave its left hand, it waves its right hand, so which to any reasonable human being will be go right. So what I'm trying to say is, if you look at it, the judiciary itself, you find whereby they are not aligning with totally with what the Supreme Court has said. You may want to argue that maybe the facts of the case are different, but then you want to look at it that a state high court, a federal high court, 2 courts of competent jurisdiction. There is a court favoring the Fubara faction, which is the Rivers State High Court. There's another one favoring the Wike faction, which is the federal court. So you want to imagine, where is the synergy? For instance, let's say in academic, if we all are PhD now and we are sitting on a panel, so if you disagree with me, the usual thing is that human beings are meant to disagree, but then I am to come to you, or you are to come to me that, okay, what did you see in this work? I want you.
So we rub minds.
Yes, you rub minds. But then you want to imagine that, is it that the defendant or the plaintiff did not say that, oh, there is a similar case, or this case is before another court, then why is the judge itself? What is the ego? Can't you pick phone and speak with your fellow judge that, oh, why did you grant this order in such a way that you would have agreed? Any gray areas would have been resolved in such a way that when you are now giving a counter order, definitely by the time you are giving that order, because you have resolved the matter with your fellow judge, that one is stepping down that earlier order. Or you will give your order because there is another from another court.
The governor did not err in ensuring that elections went ahead.
The governor did not err because he has a judicial pronouncement to hold on to.
Okay.
The Wike faction has a judicial pronouncement to hold on to, and that's why I said, if you look at it, if you can be confusing yourself, if in a democracy,
so the judiciary is confusing itself right now,
that means that the judiciary, as it is not there yet.
It's not there yet. Okay.
Prince, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You are familiar with what's going on in Rivers State, especially what happened yesterday. And we had the president call on the police to go in and step in and maintain law and order in Rivers State. I want you to rely on what happened, what has been happening in the past 1 year, and the seeming silence of the president. Do you think that the president is actually being democratic by allowing the 2 gladiators, to fight it out in the turf? Or isn't it proper that he stepped in? Because the Minister of FCT is his appointee, while the governor was elected by the people. What is your take on the president's role in the whole saga in Rivers State?
Well, the president has also made a statement, asking that they go to courts, aggrieved parties.
Show me your friend, and I'll tell you the kind of person you are. This journey of Wike didn't start today. His association with the president didn't start today. He has been planning it. And I remember just before the election when he came to Lagos, and there was this rumor that he came to learn, he came to understudy Mr. President. Then he wasn't a president, but he came to understudy him on how he has held Lagos captive. So you're talking of a president that held the state captive for how many years and still holding the state captive. And you expect him to create a level playing ground for another person that wants to do what he has done. It's not possible.
But if you
have a president who traveled on leave, so we are told, in a democratic system, and did not see the need to transfer power to his deputy. Should the president be in UK and giving instructions to the police when there's a vice president at home? Is that not an aberration? So, if anybody keeps saying, people keep saying, why has Mr. President not good? First of all, what Mr. President should have done when this whole thing started, as a Democrat, which he claims to be, was to fire Wike.
Well, he called them to sign a peace accord.
No, that was not a peace accord. No, that was not a peace accord. You don't bring people to a negotiating table and you allow them to come with their guns.
How do you mean?
That was, for me, it was not a peace accord. It was the height of impunity. It just showed the kind of president we have.
But do we even need the president to interfere in what is happening in a state that have an executive?
The thing is that, don't forget that Nigeria is a country where every small thing people will say, do you know who I am? Now, if Wike was not a minister, do you think he would be pulling the kind of stunts he's pulling in Rivers State? He would not. We've seen other governors who were stronger, who were, better than him, who were even more stubborn. But the moment they stepped down and they had nothing to do with the presidency, they just fizzle out.
Prince, are you saying that the president is nudging him by retaining him as a minister in his cabinet?
If you have a staff who looks, if you're a chairman of a company, and you have a staff who looks at your managing director or your general manager and talks to the person with impunity, and you, the chairman of the company, do not call that staff to order, what are you trying to portray?
Okay, we have Barrister Henry Kine join us virtually. He's there in River State. Good morning, Barrister Henry.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Okay, can you tell us the situation of things in River State? What is really happening?
Well, River State, this morning, is calm and has always been calm since we concluded the election. Like I said, Rivers people are excited and we're happy and fulfilled. However, there are pockets of those who feel disgruntled and, of course, who feel that they have disappointed themselves and then are attempting to express that dissatisfaction.
Now, let's talk about those who feel disgruntled. Barrister Kine, let's talk about those who feel disgruntled and the explosions, the arson that has taken place at some secretariats in Rivers State. This is happening right after the police withdrew their security, withdrew their, the occupation of the secretariat. Is this, did the police err in doing so, knowing that in the first instance they occupied the secretariat to ensure that there was no breakdown of law and order? When, we're talking about the caretaker committee being taken out of, not being installed, and then proper elections being held. Now that elections have been held, was it wrong for the police to withdraw their men from the secretariat? Did did they err? Should they have stayed put, knowing that there was an information that there might have been attackers, those that would come to perpetrate this harm at the Secretariats?
Yeah, thank you. There's clearly a difference between providing security within the statutory provisions and constitutional provisions as the powers of the police and annexing or suspending public administration as the police did in the last 3 months. So for me, what the police would have done simply was to open the gates of the Secretariat and allow the local government workers, members of Knelt and other service providers to the people at the grassroots to access the Secretariat and their offices, including those who have been elected and sworn in to access the facilities and then carry out their responsibility. But that does not stop the police from providing their primary statutory and constitutional duty for ensuring that there was no breakdown of law and order. We're not talking about complete absence of the presence of the police anywhere in this country. As a matter of fact, the police is established to ensure that there is law and order and to provide security for all persons at all times. So the secretariats, the local government secretariats in Rivers State are not excluded from the places that the police to provide security. But what happened earlier, which was condemned, it wasn't about providing security, but about suspending local government administration in Rivers State, was about annexing the local government secretariats in Rivers State. And that was condemnable, unconstitutional, unlawful, and of course illegal. So if the police was to leave that mandate, like I said earlier, it would have been, we have declared that we are no longer annexing the secretariats. The secretariats are open for local government workers to access. However, we continue our statutory responsibility of ensuring that there will be no breakdown of law and order. But however, they thought that they were to do that and completely packing off the premises of the secretariat. That did not justify any person to conduct himself in some kind of deviant behavior.
Okay,
now,
Barrister.
what happened clearly?
Barrister Kine, let me stay with you. Hello, Barrister Kine, let me stay with you. You opened with your statement that Rivers is calm this morning, but I was taken aback when you also said that since after the elections that Rivers has been calm. I mean, considering the rivers of blood, that happened yesterday, 5 local governments were touched by arsonists, people were shot and all of that. So is it still calm? Has it been calm all along? I don't understand where you say it has been calm since after the elections because of what happened yesterday. Can you help us understand the kind of calmness that you have in Port Harcourt this morning? Is it that Rivers people are happy with what happened yesterday when you said that Rivers is calm?
I would explain Rivers is calm, and I maintain that Rivers is calm, and Rivers continues to be calm, Rivers continues to be hospitable, and people are going about their businesses as we speak. I was all over town yesterday, and every other person moving around, activities are going on. But I said, however, there are pockets of condemnable acts.
You call 5 local governments touched pockets? Barrister Kine, 5 local governments were touched, and you said that was pockets. Somebody was shot. We understand that 5 people have been killed so far, and you say it's pockets.
My brother, I maintain my position that Rivers State is calm, Rivers State is peaceful. Even in Lagos or in Abuja, wherever you are, there may be some corner that you may not know at the moment that there may be some crisis. But let me say, like I said, there are criminal behaviors that some disgruntled elements committed crime by setting ablaze certain public facilities. To the best of my knowledge, Emoha local government, even Emoha town, is still peaceful and calm. That the secretariat, a part of the secretariat was set ablaze, didn't mean that Emoha has gone extinct and that people have run away. Business activities are going on in Emoha.
All right.
The same as Eleme, all the facilities we have in Eleme and business is going on. For the part of the secretariat, some buildings were set ablaze by criminal elements. The same at Ikwere local government area in Ishoku. Ishoku has not gone under. So I maintain that Rivers State is largely calm and peaceful. That's the message. That's emphatic. However, you see the video you're showing, that is the secretariat of Ikwere local government area. And then that of Eleme you're showing, those places, yes, those are pockets of crisis. And I tell you, really, those are criminal elements, but they did that and ran away.
Now, Barrister Henry, the governor knew, Barrister Henry Akina, the governor knew about a plan for those people to be sponsored. And he told the newly elected chairman during the swearing-in ceremony about their activities. Why didn't he move swiftly to make sure that did not really see the light of the day?
Yes, excellent. The governor is the chief security officer. I'm not speaking for the governor. I'm not the spokesperson for the governor. But the fact that the governor identified that those dissatisfied and disgruntled elements are already planning to conduct themselves in this behavior, in this manner, and then enjoined all those who were swearing in not to return violence for violence, it meant clearly that the governor was preemptive and then would have given the instruction to the security agencies to do the needful. But like I said, criminals hide and commit crime.
Okay.
But will they continue to do that? The next thing is, can we prevent other secretariats to so be invaded and then destroyed willfully by criminally minded individuals? Like I maintained, there are 23 local governments in Rivers State. You have not shown the pictures of local governments that have actually commenced activities, Bonny local government. The newly elected council members have taken over the secretariat and Donny local government. They have sworn in, their councillors sworn in, the vice chairman activities are going on. Workers have resumed activities. Over 20 of such local governments are working. There were actually 3 that had this asset.
So you mean like the Oyibo local government area too, where you said activities have been, in order? Talking about the Oyibo local government area.
Oyibo is active. See, I am here in Port Harcourt, and I will refuse. It doesn't matter how I may be persuaded. I will refuse to say that Port Harcourt is not safe.
Now, Barrister, a quick one before we come back to the studio. A quick one before we come back to the studio. Are we looking at having a state of emergency in River State with this whole happening? Over, like you said, over five local government secretariats have been touched already, and the chairman, newly elected chairman, being sacked by these elements.
It can never happen. There can never be a state of emergency in a state that is calm and peaceful, except there is something orchestrated against the Rivers people, which we will refuse and reject completely, all of us together. So what I expect the security agencies to do, and Mr. President, rather than even considering the idea of declaration of state of emergency, is to identify those criminal elements. And the security agencies have the capacity to do that, except they are being complicit. Identify the criminal elements, get those who you suspect, investigate them, arrest them, and prosecute them. If they ever did this even before now, I don't think that there would be this willful destruction of public facilities. We have been in this state and certain local government chairmen, and I can identify them. These are these local governments you are hearing today and reporting and showing their secretaries. It is not new that Eleme local government, the former local government chairman, has threatened all the time. It is not new that the Ikwere local government chairman, Engineer Wanosike, was making utterances and making some threats even against the governor and all that. Nobody invited him. No security agents ever invited him or even cautioned him. There is no doubt that the former local government chairman, Chidi Lloyd of Emoha local government, these are the individuals at the time before the election, even when their tenures expired in June. Utterances. So you can imagine that these are the local governments that we are hearing and seeing the pictures of willful destruction.
Barrister Ekine. Hello, Barrister Ekine. We understand from you that there is calm in Rivers State. I want to ask you, the local government chairmen that were chased out of their offices yesterday, have they resumed work this morning?
No local government chairman was thrown out of office yesterday, please.
They were chased out of their offices. They were chased out of their offices. The local government chairman, we understand that the Eleme local government chairman, was on his way to the office when he was chased out and the facility touched. Is there any likelihood that since there is calm, that the local government chairman of Emoha, Eleme, Ikwere local government, that they will resume this morning since there is calm in River State?
I am not aware at the moment this morning, because you can imagine I'm on your TV just as early as this moment. I'm not aware, but let me put something clear. Take the scenario in my local government, Ahuda West local government. And the early hours on Monday, yesterday, the elected local government chairman, whom I spoke with, and then my local government, so I have relatives there. The chairman assumed office and got to the secretariat. Did preparation for the inauguration of the legislative arm. The only issue was that they were unsettled about who should be the leader, and then that process was suspended. So that was peaceful, and they left. Now, I got a report from my younger sister that after they had left, the former local government chairman, Hope Ikriko, and then some of his supporters in a convoy drove to the secretariat. Would we say the local government chairman elected was chased out? The same way you are just talking about, if the elected local government chairman was on his way to the secretariat, and he thought, remember what the governor told them when he was inaugurated? He said, do not return violence to violence. I'm aware that these dissatisfied elements may want to perpetrate violence. Avoid them and be wise. So if the gentleman and his team returned, you wouldn't say they were chased out of the secretariat or chased out of office. We have to balance this reportage and then ensure that those who are committing themselves and conducting themselves in criminal manner or in any way should be arrested.
Okay,
these individuals are known.
Thank you so much, Barrister.
That's what the Nigerian state is failing.
Thank you, Barrister Henry, for that wonderful, he said. Now, back to you, Dr. Deji. When Barrister was talking, he made some names, mention of some names. And we also have, the former governor of River State. He also said something that he's going to set some states ablaze, especially those that want to support, Fubara during their fight and all that. Now, what do you really think is happening? Why is it that Wike has not been called to order? And what is it do you think is what is, drailing or making his arrest not to have happened up until now?
Well, first, if somebody threatens to set your home ablaze, so you either try to get fire extinguisher or you try to come with superior fire. So I hope the governors are ready. But then, you see, the person of Nyesom Wike is something that, for instance, Nyesom Wike aspired to be president of this country. So that means if everything has gone well, or if fortune has shined on him, or if he has been in the right clique, today, he would be the president of Nigeria. Yaya Bello aspired to be president of this country. If fortune has shined on him, today, he will be the president of Nigeria. So if you are still asking yourself why Nigeria is the way it is, then you have an answer. And if these are the characters that we have, definitely you cannot escape it in the life of a nation that luck will shine on one of them. And when luck shines on them, this is the kind of country that we would have. I think Nyesom Wike, as a person, has failed to realize something, that in life is a cycle. And there's time and season to everything. You upstage some people. Whether you like it or not, somebody will upstage you. And even if somebody do not upstage you, death will upstage you one day. That is the truth, because where are the bulls of this world? So, you became a governor in one day. You leave the position in one day, because let's imagine that in this life, people are just being born without dying. The earth would have been so overpopulated now that maybe people will be eating themselves. Maybe there will be cannibalism, because naturally the food, the housing will not be enough. So what I'm trying to say is the Minister of FCT has failed to realize that there are some things that are natural in life. As a godfather, history has told us in Nigeria, and not even ancient history, if I can use the word contemporary history, has told us that if you find yourself to be a governor and you try to install somebody, you are only trying your luck. If that luck does not shine as you think it should be, then you just take the reverse seat. For instance, an election was held on Saturday. Akpabio tried his luck by installing Udom Emmanuel. He fell out with Udom Emmanuel. Akpabio kept his cool. It was because Akpabio kept his cool that Akwa Ibom is peaceful today. Now, you now want to imagine that who is the Minister of FCT? Who is Godswill Akpabio? Godswill Akpabio today ranks 3 out of over 200 million. It takes maybe extra smartness or extra grace for you to be number 3 out of over 200 million. Now, who is Nyesom Wike? He's the Minister of FCT. And I have asserted that the Minister of FCT, in terms of the senior ranking ministers, we have Minister of State. In terms of the senior ranking minister, the Minister of FCT is the lowest rank. And why do I argue that? As a minister, yes, as a minister in Nigeria, your constituency is the whole of Nigeria. But as Minister of FCT, your constituency is just FCT. So
that's interesting.
If you want to,
that's an interesting.
Yes, if you want to take that, okay, FCT, what is the percentage of FCT in Nigeria? If I can borrow the word of Buhari, FCT will be like a dot in a circle. So
it's interesting because you know, some will say the minister of the FCT is occupying the position of a governor. But since there's no governor in the FCT, that's why we have a minister of the FCT.
You see, the minister of FCT, the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, used it to tame Wike because he knows that from
before you proceed, doesn't the minister of the FCT literally equate to being the governor of a state?
Thank you. A governor of his, for instance, Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, anything he wants to do can only operate within Lagos State. If he cross Badagry to Benin Republic, he will find himself in problem. If he cross Bega to Mowe, he will find himself in problem.
But he's elected and cannot be thrown out.
With
the minister that is appointed can be thrown out.
Governor Dapo Abiodun, the Eleyi of Ogun State, you know, as christened on him by his political godfather, and Eleyi means this one. Or common you know. Now, so the thing is, as minister of FCT, by my assertion as a political scientist, you are the lowest rank because your area of jurisdiction is only the FCT. Now, I was making a comparison. I don't want to lose my train of thought. Now, if Akpabio lost out in his state and he installed Udom Emmanuel and is number 3 and his state is calm, now let us swipe. If Nyesom Wike was to be number 3, because if you are to rank in Nigeria today, you rank the Chief Justice and everybody, I'm not sure Nyesom Wike will be up to number 50. Because for me, you first rank every minister first, whose area of constituency is the whole of Nigeria. So if Nyesom Wike is the president, because he had presidential ambition, imagine how Rivers State will be today. 2, if Nyesom Wike is the Senate president, by virtue of the comparative analysis of Godfatherism, if Nyesom Wike is the Senate president, definitely he would have used his capacity to perhaps, when all ships are down, to force state of emergency on the River State, because it would have been a tit-for-tat kind of thing, in the sense that you have a presidency that doesn't want to be properly scrutinized in the true word of scrutiny. Now, you now have a Senate presidency that is willing to approve anything. So if Nyesom Wike is the Senate president and he is asking the president that, please, we need a state of emergency in Rivers State, you will see that all these things that are happening, if you want to declare a state of emergency, there are willing tools that are willing to throw bomb, kill this one, you know, bomb that, bomb that one. And,
would you say
sorry,
that
sir, just a moment. A state of emergency would have emerged. And once that is declared in Nigeria, so that it will not be an abuse of office for the president, when state of emergency is declared, you need to take it to the Senate. So if Nyesom Wike today is the Senate president, that means he will just lobby the presidency to declare it, and you have a willing Senate president that will affirm it.
Sorry, please. I want to come to Prince Francis now, but I must say it's a good thing for Governor Siminalayi that Wike is not the president of the Senate.
If he is,
he's lucky. So, but let me get your opinion on something that the president said. Now, in an interview yesterday, Siminalayi Beg-Fubara was, somewhat apprehensive that his name was mentioned when the president, through his spokesman, Bayo Ononduga, said, look, let the governor, Siminalayi Beg-Fubara, and other political actors settle their differences, or aggrieved parties should take the case to court. I'm not quoting verbatim now. I'm just, paraphrasing. And the governor was a bit unsettled that his name alone was mentioned. Should the president have mentioned Wike? Is the president shielding Wike? Has the president been made aware that Wike is perpetrating this?
I think where I get upset is when people come up and say, the president might not be aware. This president is fully aware. This president knows what is happening in Rivers. This president is supporting the carnage, the destruction going on. Yes, he is. Yes, he is, because he should have, the president should have tamed this thing before now. Let us be very honest with ourselves. Today is as democratic as he claims. He ought to know the right thing to do. He ought to know that once your tenure has expired as a governor.
What would be the right thing?
Once your tenure has expired as a governor, yes, you should give way. I was watching a video of Wike yesterday, and I said to myself, Nigerian politicians are worse than the 419ers we have. They're worse than the Yahoo boys we have on the street. And I'll tell you why. Yesterday there was a video that's been circulating where Wike said with his own mouth that after God in Rivers State, the next person is the governor. And that if you are challenging the governor, you are challenging God. And that if you are challenging the governor, you do not know how much power
the governor has.
A man who could say that has turned around the same state he built, in quotes. We're all here. Tomorrow, when he's coming up for presidency, they say he built Rivers State. The same state he built, he's at the forefront of destroying it.
Prince Chilaka, but talking about Wike, with what happened on Saturday when he was clearly routed, by the proxy party of the governor, are we seeing the end of Wike's political relevance in Rivers State?
He's fighting his last fight.
Last fight?
That's what he's doing. He's fighting his last fight. See, when the president did that infamous peace arrangement, a lot of us said that Fubara, even though gave the impression that he can't bite, we said he was planning. And the smartest move was the fact that it was not PDP that cleared the local government. It was not APC. It's a different political party. In other words, what the governor has succeeded in doing is to create more enemies for Wilson Wike.
So don't you think that some people left PDP and OPC?
For me, it doesn't matter. For the fact that the fight is now between Wike, PDP, and is the APP.
Yeah, APP and AC.
So there are more people, Wike has more people to contend with. You think APP will sit down and allow those who have won election with their party to be rubbished? They will not.
All right.
But I feel sorry at the end of the day. I feel sorry that the Rivers people, the so-called youths in Rivers, the so-called thugs, political gladiators, they're allowing themselves to be used to destroy their state. I pray and I hope that Rivers does not turn out to become Imo State.
But you know what they say, that politics is a game of interest. We have Barrister Henry now. Barrister Henry, the president gave the IGP instruction to make sure that peace and order is being restored in Rivers State. But we know what happened with Fubara sacking the policeman that he met at RISEC office before the election, and how he also threw so many jabs to the IGP. Do you really think that the security operatives will be able to move swiftly to make sure that they contain this whole, will I say, I wouldn't want to call it upheavals now happening in Rivers State? And also we have a video where Ambassador Chijioke Ihunuwo, who happens to be the chairman of the OBO, Abo local government, he made a statement. He said they have gone other okay, let's hear it from him though, since he's there. Let's get it.
By the grace of God, I'm the chairman of the local government. Good day! Good day! And let me tell our people, Obiabo is a very sensitive local government. Yes. I know one man who come and tell our local government. They don't try to come, but let me advise them that they should be very, very careful. Finish it! Because we don't go sleep. And they hear me? Yes, we don't serve. Nobody worry. I believe so. So, constant everybody come from the local government. And they hear hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so Wike with the important people come over. Anybody will try it. Anybody will get house. Yes, sir. Hear me?
Yes, sir.
Somebody house.
Yes, sir.
They get investment with River State.
All right, Barrister Henry, those were the words of Chijoke Ihunowo. And that will also bring me to the last question. Do you really think the people of River State depends on the police for their secretariat or their properties to be protected, or have they resorted to taking laws into their hands?
Sorry, let me just in a second make a constitutional interpretation about the status of the FCT. I'll come back to you. The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is likened to be the governor of the Federal Capital Territory, not the minister. This one is not about what people think. That's what it is in the Constitution. The ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria are like assistant, like personal assistant or whatever form of assistant to Mr. President. All the ministries and all the responsibilities and duties of ministers are the responsibilities and duties of the president, just as that of the governor with respect to commissioners. So that's the straight position of it. The minister of the Federal Capital Territory is never likened in our constitution to be the governor of the FCT. It is the president, Mr. President, that is the principal in the FCT. The minister is his assistant that he sends on an errand. It doesn't matter whether it's this or with or any other minister. Then coming back to security agencies and their responsibilities, it doesn't matter the relationship between a governor and any of the security agencies. In our constitution, we have one police. The Nigerian Police Force, established under Section 214 of the Constitution. It is not for the governor of River State, His Excellency Beg-Fubara, or any governor in this country, or even for Mr. President. It is for the Federal Republic of Nigeria and for all of us citizens. So if the governor of the state made an utterance that the Inspector General of Police felt unsettled about, it does not absolve the Inspector General of Police from performing his statutory and constitutional duties and responsibilities and functions in River State. That's to provide and ensure security of life and property. So I do not expect that there will be anything less. Besides that, I think they may have reconciled whatever cross that they had in the past few days. Because just after the election, the Nigerian police, on the instruction of the Inspector General of Police, I understand, or the Commissioner of Police in River State has actually instructed and directed and ordered their men to leave the Secretariat. That's just what it's supposed to be. That's the law. That's the position. Then, with respect to the governor as the chief security officer of the state, even the Constitution recognizes that the governor can give instruction to the Commissioner of Police in the state. It just that sometimes we deliberately maneuver even our laws. We deliberately circumvent even our constitutions. Our constitutional provisions. And that was why at some point, when they had the referenced supposed parley that was held in Abuja on these issues in River State, when I said even the president cannot circumvent constitutional provisions in a manner that would seem to take away or interfere with the exclusive functions and powers of the governor of the state. So we have a constitutional democracy, and Nigeria as a federation, the laws are extant. We have the clear responsibilities of our states and the local government and the federal government. And then the constitutional functions of Mr. President, the governors, and of course, even ministers and other agents of government. This is extant. So the Nigerian police or any security agency, if they attempt to want to act otherwise because of the relationship with the governor of the state, then that would be the religion of duty, would have been ineptitude really, and irresponsibility of that security agency.
All right, now, Barrister, let me stay with you a little longer. When we talk about insecurity, we know that right after the elections, in fact, on the day of the elections, one man who has been licensed to have a private militia, and I'm talking about Asarido Kubo, talked about helicopters flying, hovering over his house, and he came out to say that he will shoot down helicopters belonging to Nigeria, belonging to the Nigerian, belonging to the Nigerian Air Force or thereabout. He will shoot down the helicopters if they try anything, that he knows that these are Wike's people, Wike's police, Wike's military, and statements like that. And we just heard the local government chairman, the newly elected local government chairman, Ihuwo, yes, saying that whoever is perpetrating this, if they have a house, they will burn it down. What do we make of statements like this?
No, I do not support utterances that are couched in a way that threaten peace and the stability in the state. It doesn't matter who says it. I think that's my position in public analysis. So it doesn't matter whether the executive chairman of Obiakwa local government area, Chioke Ihumo, makes utterances. If the utterances are condemnable, they are condemnable. It doesn't matter who made them. And then they should be cautioned. And perhaps such persons would also have a reason to retract, including Asari Dokubo. But to put again in perspective, for Asari Dokubo's utterance, it is unfortunate. Yes, there may be security threats, there may be intelligence, there may be security reports, and then there may be justification for the aircraft or helicopters of the Air Force or even the police to carry out some aerial surveillance, as the case may be, around any person. There is no part of this country that is exclusive for any individual, even if it is your home. When it becomes imperative that security agencies who have reason to search or investigate any reasonable suspicion, they could do so legitimately, provided it's done within the provisions of the law. So, yes, and again, there is also the right for privacy, and then you can't just unreasonably and without justification invade the privacy of an individual. He has that right to protect, and to some extent, too, self-defense. But all of these that I've
Barrister Henry, are you there?
law, but
by any challenge, they do not justify any.
Yes, I am. I just said that this is just a balance, but those explanations I gave do not justify any challenge of any individual against the state or any state agent in that regard. So I think that the comment by Ihumo should be checked. Political office holders and public officials should be circumspect in their utterances, especially when you assume the position of leadership, so that you'll be able to also contribute to calm situations and then ensure that there is always peace and order in your jurisdiction, in your operation.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Barrister Henry Ekine. Well, let's, as we wrap up this now, let me come back to Doctor of Political Science, Dr. DG. Now, we've seen all of this play out. This is setting precedents for future elections. Some have said the minister learned. In fact, I think Prince here did say that at some point, Wike came to Lagos to learn. But would you say he learned well? Because we know that when things were going sour between Tinubu and Babatunde Raji Fashola and Ambode at the time, Lagos wasn't, set on fire. Houses weren't burnt. Basically, the president stepped back and allowed them finish their term before any other thing was done. What do you think should be done to Wike at this point?
Okay, two things.
Should the president be called into this matter?
Okay, two things.
It's a state, actually.
Okay, you mentioned about learning. Okay, first, two things happening to Nyesom Wike. First, it's either he didn't learn well or is just unlucky. In the sense that, don't take my word for it, just look around. If you want to be a political godfather, one major thing that will either strengthen your political godfatherism or demystify it is your successor. If your successor plays ball with you, by the time your successor finishes his term, your political godfatherism, I don't want to use the word enclave, but it's more of an enclave in the true sense of it, would have been well solidified. But if your successor gives you a problem, either because your successor is stubborn or you are unlucky, definitely in the history of Nigeria, looking at it, you may struggle and struggle very hard, but it would have demystified your Godfatherism status to almost nothing. So what I see is, at the end of the day, Wike will struggle, but will not eventually become a godfather. And the cases abound. Kano, Kwakwanso, Ganduje is an example. Akwa Ibom, Udom Emmanuel, Akpabio is an example. Different kind of examples. Now, what should the president be doing? That's your second question. You see, it is difficult, very, very difficult, in an environment whereby people learn very fast, especially the negative things. It is difficult for you to caution another person when you yourself, you are guilty. In the sense that if in a society you have somebody that in the history of new democratic Nigeria since 1999 has been the one that has made Godfatherism pronounced the most. And if you look at it, it's not like it's the superior political being. We have the likes of Obasanjo, the Anenis, name them. There are people that, even if Tinubu sees today, of all these 1999 set of governors, look at it, just look around you. Even Obasanjo as a former president, even Jonathan, even Buhari, none of them can make God. So if you are talking about, if you are doing a research of Godfatherism in Nigeria today, your first focus for you to get good empirical data is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So if you have held Lagos State by the jugular since 1999, and it is still so today, in such a way that if Tinubu wakes up today and says Sanwo-Olu is becoming a stubborn boy, he's gone. Definitely Sanwo-Olu, whether he's seen or not, SIN, seen or not, will be impeached before 4 p.m. That is how strong he is. So if you occupy that kind of strong political influence, what do you want to tell a boy, in quote, like Wike? What do you want to preach to a boy like Wike that, oh, Wike, your tenure has ended. Let go. Why be a pharaoh? Did you not read the scripture? Let my people go. Thus says the word of the Lord. So Wike, let rivers go. So it is only somebody like Buhari that have let go that can preach to Wike. It's only somebody like Jonathan that can preach to Wike. So in the true sense of it, the president, although he's the president, he doesn't have that high moral ground.
What if the governor now similarly writes to the I beg your pardon, writes to the president and complains about the interference by Wike? Wouldn't that do some sort of?
The thing is, I don't like a situation whereby in a country or a state, Nigeria is so big, and of course human beings will come and go, but the state remains. So when you have a one-man state, at the end of the day, if that one man dies, or if that one man is sick, or if that one man is silent, or if that one man is inactive, that means that the state will be in a pause mode. So what I've loved is a situation whereby there are strong institutions and everybody knows what to do. That you don't need the president to tell you. For instance, I found it a bit irritating that the president has to mandate. For instance, does the chairman of VOP have to tell you to present this morning? That is what you are employed for. That is your profession. Okay. That's your first address.
Because of time.
To present. So if the president now needs to first tell the IGP that go and...
But can Wike be recalled by his constituency?
Wike cannot be recalled because it's not his constituency that hired him. But the truth is, The foundation of Wike's strength is because he is appointed as a minister. So that federal might in quote is what is giving him that all this leverage. So the truth is, if I happen to be president, GCFR, I will sack Wike.
Okay. That seems to be
the reason is because I know that he is relying on the power of the federal. But the truth is, the president cannot sack him for the sake of 2027. We are pressing for time, so let me just leave it at
All right then. Prince
Francis.
Francis.
You want to give me a bit of?
No, please. Thank you. Prince Francis.
Why is it that we have this whole thing happening just in Rivers State? Why Rivers, Prince Chila?
When it happened in 2003 in Anambra State, did we learn from it? When in Gige, you remember? It was even an AIG that held him hostage and asked him to sign his resignation. Did we learn from it? Was the AIG punished? Those who perpetuated it, were they punished? So long as we have a system that does not punish people for wrongdoing, it will continue.
And we've not learned.
So we have not learned. And I'm hoping we don't go the Shagari way. I am hoping for that. If this thing continues, it takes one state to start the whole wahala. It takes one state. People in Nigeria today are hungry. People are dying. People cannot get, a lot of school children have not gone back to school up to now. So if you imagine the thing in Rivers blows out of proportion.
Oh well, we do hope it doesn't blow out of proportion, because right there in Rivers State, individuals are wielding guns. So if things get out of hand, we will see a break. We will see chaos escalate, and that will affect, that will affect every other state around it, and that's of course what we don't want. Well, let's go into another conversation, and we'd like this gentleman to stay with us. We've been speaking with Dr. D.G. Omoshola, Prince Francis Chilaka, and Barrister Henry Akine. Do stay with us, please, as we get into another conversation. Accept Tinubu's shortcoming as a Yoruba son. He will still serve another 4 years. Now, these are the words of Oshoba, 2 Nigerians, actually. Let's talk about this one when we come back.
All right, welcome back as we delve into the second topic of discussion on this morning show. Former Governor of Ogun State, Olusegun, speaking through his Chief of Staff, Femi Bajabiamila, at the 2024 Southwest Assembly of the All Progressives Congress in Lagos, Tinubu urged Nigerians to be patient with his administration, reaffirming his commitment to repositioning the country and creating long-term wealth for the future generations. We still have in the studio Prince Francis Chilaka, who's been giggling, and Dr. Deji Omoshola. Again, we still have Barrister Henry Akine virtually. Gentlemen, thanks for staying with us.
You're welcome.
Dr. Omoshola.
Thank you for starting with me.
Dr. Omoshola.
I didn't see that coming.
Oshoba, you are a Yoruba brother, a statesman, elder statesman in Nigeria, had said that we should tolerate the president's shortcomings. And because that he's a Yoruba person, that he will also win a second term in 2027 and that he will do better. What do you make out of this?
Well, with profound respect to the former governor of Ogun State, Ademo Olusegun Oshoba, I think his statement is not, if I can put it this way, it's not statesmanly, in the sense that if you are telling me that the only criteria that I should bury the economic hardship, that I should bury performance, I should bury protection of life and properties, I should overlook the spendings in the presidency whereby they are living like a mini god on earth, and maybe even some of the host of heavens are even kind of like jealous that, oh, so earth can be this sweet only if you are not a Deji Omoshola, but if you happen to come to earth and you are a Bola Tinubu or a Kashim Shettima, that, oh, earth is not that bad after all. So you expect me to overlook all that and decide that, oh, regardless of anything, Bola Ahmed Tinubu not even should, must have a second term. Then you look at it that as much as you may wish to kind of like not say some things, but it is absolutely despicable for you to overlook every other thing and try to say, oh, it is Bola Ahmed Tinubu's right. Well, for me, you don't need to speak to Nigerians. Just change the constitution and just, just leave him there and say, oh, just get an Akpabio to do a tenure extension. I think it just goes like that. And maybe the tenure extension will save us money if they won't use it to buy another jet. Maybe the tenure extension will save the people that will die during the election in 2027, because whether you like it or not, people will die. Ordinary local government election, people have died. So for me, I think it is absolutely wrong to try to force a Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Nigeria. So are you saying that, for instance, within 1 year, 6 months, the price of petrol has moved from almost 200 naira to almost 900 naira? That is an increment of 700 naira. So let's say that in another 1 year, 6 months, approximately, that will make it 3 years. That means if it moves from 900 plus 700, I'm just doing a little bit of mathematics here. 900 plus 700 will be 1,600. Then 1 year, just make it like maybe 500, approximately. Plus 500 plus 1,600, that is 2,100. So if you are saying that by 2027, by the pace of increment according to the time that Tinubu has used in office, if fuel is now 2,100, do the same arithmetic for the dollar, that Tinubu met it at about 700 and now it is about 1,700. Calculate the increment. The price of electricity multiplies as well. If the level of insecurity multiplies as well, look at the level of insecurity, the impunity of Nyesom Wike. If it goes on and on like that, and you are saying that by now the president should be that if in 2027 the president must have a second term, I think if you are to regard somebody like Olusegun Oshoba, you regard him as a statesman. So that means that rather than say the president must have a second term, why not be advising the president or be preaching hope?
Dr. Deji, he also said
to Nigerians
that he trusts in his ability to do better in 2027.
Sorry, sir. Good point, sir. Don't take my word for it. Just do a bit of research. In Nigeria, and even by extension Africa and across the world, the best you can get from a government, the best you can get from any government is in its first term.
Maybe this will be an exception. I said maybe this will be an exception.
The thing is, you see, you want to push me a bit further. Now, how would this be an exception?
Because he inherited something and he's trying to work on something and trying to fix the country. Don't you think so?
He's trying to fix the country. Yeah. See,
that's what he's saying.
If you say in 2027, don't forget that first, you must have something to, you must have a point of bargain. If you want to take something from me, I'll be sure that thing you surely give me if I have something to take from you. In 2027, the president has nothing again to take from Nigerians. What will make him want to perform? Then if you look at the economic indices, which I don't want to go
to write his name in gold.
If we look at the
to write his name in gold might lead him to performance. Don't you think so?
to write his name in gold.
Yes.
For posterity's sake,
For posterity's sake, you see, write his name in gold posterity.
For posterity's
These
sake.
are things that doesn't matter to
The politician.
not even politicians, African leaders. Right name in gold, posterity's sake. Does it matter to somebody like Paul Biya? Write his name in gold, posterity's sake. Existed during when most African countries, the first generation of leaders, the Kwame Nkrumahs, the Patrice Lumumba and all these guys, that is when posterity, right name in gold, matters. But if you look across Africa now, it doesn't really matter what we call posterity or write your name in gold.
Dr. Deji, hold your thoughts, please. Let's bring in Prince Chilaka into this fray. Prince Chilaka, Segun Oshoba has spoken. Do you agree or disagree? And if you disagree with him, on what basis?
I don't want to respect him. I mean, I don't want to disrespect him. But he has pushed me to that point where I would say to him, he has not spoken like an elderly person. He has not spoken like a patriot. And he has not spoken like somebody that patriotism runs through his veins. He has simply displayed the height of ethnic bigotry. You see, when people begin to reduce the presidency to ethnic, tribe, the whole essence of one Nigeria has been lost. We can't sit here and be talking of the unity of Nigeria, and then those, some of us look up to as elder statesmen will now come with that perception of ethnicity. Because that is what he has just done.
But has we ever played, have we in Nigeria,
Even if we have not played
the politics
we are looking at the national level.
Okay.
We must come to that realization that the day you become a president of Nigeria, you are no longer a Yoruba man, Igbo man, or an Hausa
But we see that's happening.
That is the reason, that is the reason why development is far from us. It is our own son. Your son is a thief. Your son is a drug baron. Your son is a dropout from school.
With our language.
No, I know. Okay. I'm not making any reference to anybody, but I'm just being, saying, somebody has a son. And the son is assumed to be any of this. Okay. And you're saying, it doesn't matter because he's my son. I must protect him. Where is morality? Where is the fear of God that we talk about? So this whole thing, when people come out sometimes to say something, you just look at them and you're like, well, maybe it's old age.
All right.
Maybe suddenly that toga of division that everybody's been talking about, maybe we're getting closer to it. Maybe regional government will solve the problem of Nigeria.
All right.
Okay.
Let me come to, you want to say something?
No, I just a statement. I believe it is not old age. I think it is class interest, it is political greed, whereby a patronage system exists, and there's a class that the patronage system favors, and they are trying to kind of like perpetuate themselves into that particular system that they have been profiting from. So it's about...
It's not about the general good.
No. It is about greed and personal interest, class interest.
I want to stay.
No, let's I will
ask you one question.
Let's get the barrister into the conversation now. Barrister Kine, thanks for staying. Okay. Unfortunately, we heard that.
Can I take Dr. Deji? You see, when Prince Chilaka talked about ethnic politics, I tend to think, isn't it that we are too hard on ourselves when we try to shy away, remain politically correct and behave as if ethnicity doesn't play a part in politics globally? If you look at what happens in the US, the Black Lives Matter, the white supremacists, it's about racism and ethnicity. If you go to the Middle East, the politics of identity, that is sweeping the Middle East and all parts of the world. So do we live in self-denial by not recognizing the fact that ethnicity plays a role in politics, especially when you talk about the realistic perspective, the real politics aspect of politics? Are we too hard on ourselves by not recognizing the fact that, look, politics is about allocation of scarce resources and is about the group thing? I mean, someone says you cannot like yourself if you don't hate what you are not.
Politics is about allocation of scarce resources, but then democracy is about dialogue. It's about give and take. It's about sending your ideas.
That's exactly what he's doing.
No, he is imposing. He's not dialoguing.
He appealed.
No, that's not an appeal. If you say that Bola Ahmed Tinubu will have a second term, or if you are saying Yoruba should stand by him, excuse me. You see, some of these people, the support that Bola Ahmed Tinubu could have had, they are even taking it away from me. Because if you tell me now that Bola Ahmed Tinubu must have a second term, that Deji, you know, Tinubu is a Yoruba man, I will look at you and be like, sorry sir, you that said it. What is your impact in my life? You know, I am from Ogun State. When you were governor, what is your impact in my life? What is the level of development that you brought to Ogun State? If you want to probe further. So this is not dialogue. This is about, you know, some group of people that are immune from the reality of the Nigerian state. And if only I have access to God, and I can see him sitting on his mighty table, and I can see the switch of countries, and I look at Nigeria, and I see personality swap, I would have loved to swap Oshoba with the thug on the street, to swap Oshoba with the homeless man on the street, to swap Oshoba with the jobless man on the street, to swap Oshoba with a man whose wife or husband or family has been killed by bandits or terrorists. Then I want to hear what you will say then. But if we still have some people that, despite all the insecurity in the country, they are massively protected. Despite the cost of fuel, maybe they are in position to even access fuel for free, that they benefit from. See, I've come of age to realize that we all are to contribute to the country. But there are some category of people that, instead of them to serve Nigeria, it is the poor man that serves Nigeria. There are some categories of people that it is Nigeria that have been serving them.
Right now, Dr. Deji, do you think that this call by Oshoba will make President change his mind, given the fact that through his spokesperson, Femi Gbajabiamila, he said he doesn't have any interest in second term or running, but just for him to make sure that Nigerian economy stands? It
will just make the president to perform worse the more.
So you think he will change his mind and run for the second tenure?
The truth is, oh my God, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is somebody that values power. Is somebody that doesn't joke with power. He knows the essence of power. And I have asserted that, looking at the political trajectory of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if given the opportunity, two things will happen. Even if he rules to 2020 to 2031, he will either want to laud his successor, what he benefited from under Buhari, by saying, okay, you guys will decide, anybody that a man, Bola Ahmed Tinubu can never allow what he benefited during Buhari's time.
Why do you say so?
Oh, he's a power-oriented guy. Okay. See, sorry, sir. She asked me a question. If you were given the opportunity to rule Lagos State in 1999, from there, you expand to be the political godfather of the Southwest. From there, you are not satisfied. You try to install the president. From there, you are not satisfied. You try to become the national leader in code, which did not happen under PDP. When Obasanjo was president, who can you say is the national? They are leaders of the party, respected leaders of the party, but you gave yourself the title national leader. And at the end of the day, you try to be president and you succeeded. That shows a consistent pattern of you not being satisfied regardless of how much power you are given. So what I see is a situation whereby you will force a leader of Nigeria, or you will expand your political empire by trying to influence who will become president in small countries. That, Lagos State, if you are to put it in the African context, Lagos State will qualify as a country more than so many other countries. I foresee a situation, and keep to this tape. You say that they just said it. That's the first thing I said will happen, and or that means both can happen or one will happen. The second one is that you will see whether Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not try to determine who will be president in Guinea, who will be president in Togo, who will be president in Benin Republic, who will be president in Cote d'Ivoire.
Right.
He is like a man. Oh.
It's okay. It's okay. I was going to stay with you, but you took a lot of time responding to that. So let me just switch to Prince Francis now. But I do believe it was you that mooted the tenure elongation conversation. I believe it was you. Yes, tenure elongation. We've been hearing this. The National Assembly also kind of played around that conversation of a 6-year single term. Atiku Abubakar also recently wrote to the National Assembly saying, okay, let's have a 6-year single term. Consider this, when you're, tweaking the Constitution. Do you foresee a situation whereby this will happen before the expiration of the president's first 4 years in office? And if this happens, how will it impact democracy in Nigeria, going by the fact that Atiku Abubakar has also, chimed into this particular conversation?
First and foremost, I come from a point where, as people, are we truly a democratic nation?
Well, some have said the democracy we practice.
For me, the democracy you practice is
borrowed
fake.
from the
It's fake.
Okay.
We copied the fake one.
Okay.
Adulterated. Okay. First and foremost, democracy is about the people. With what is happening in Rivers, where is the people in it? Election of 2023, where are the people in it? This is a government where you wake up one morning and an IG of police that is supposed to retire in September, suddenly you hear that a new law has been passed, retrospective, and it's still there. Aberration. If you pass a law, it should start from the next person. But you're passing it and you're asking the person there to continue. A country where you have a rubber stamp National Assembly, anything is possible.
Okay.
You can even wake up one morning and hear that the Constitution has been tinkered in such a way that you have Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a life president. The truth is, I do not trust this National Assembly you have.
If you don't trust the National Assembly, don't you also trust the 36 states House of Assembly that have to ratify any constitutional amendment to give it life?
Is it the 36 state House of Assemblies that the governors are holding to their chest?
And you think all the governors will approve of a term extension for the president?
Wait, you see, since we started talking about the hardship in this land called Nigeria, how many of your governors have come out to empathize with the people? Your governors are comfortable because Bola Tinubu came and gave them an olive branch. And what was that? He came and expanded the tax. And the governors are getting more money.
But they are sharing palliatives to the people.
What is palliative? Mr. Okoro?
No,
there are some words for you shouldn't be using. Nigeria is not at war. And people are just talking about palliative. Nigeria is not at war. You have ID camps.
But we have food insecurity.
How is the food insecurity? What came about it?
Whatever cost it, the governors are giving palliatives.
What kind of palliatives? Do you also know that is it what they call Onije or what do they...
Ojaiko.
Do you know that it's been suspended?
It's been restarted.
No, right now it is suspended.
No, it's been restarted.
When? Started it.
Sorry,
it's been restarted.
As of yesterday, it is
ever
suspended.
received a palliative? Because I'm here to see anybody that has
I don't.
Have you ever received?
No. Have you seen anybody?
It's meant for the poorest of the poor.
Who are defined the poorest of the poor?
Are there no poor people around? Have you seen anybody?
We have 135 million.
Sorry, I know that what you're supposed to ask questions. I'm just wondering because maybe I'm unlucky. That's what I'm here to see.
Have you received?
So that means you are so lucky as me.
It's meant for the poorest of the poor.
No.
Have you seen? There are poorest of the poor people around you everywhere.
This is where the problem is.
You are banned in Nigeria.
No. This is where the problem. We are bandwagons. This is where the problem is. We always create and make excuses for the cluelessness, ineptitude of our leaders. Even before they do the thing they're not supposed to do. Right. We have created an excuse for them.
Well, unfortunately, time is not our friend. It's an interesting conversation, and we could go on, but we are pressed for time. I will give you, gentlemen, 1 minute. 1 minute, please. Let's not exceed 1 minute. Let's to give our parting shots. Let me stay with you.
I would say this with all sense of responsibility, that Wike should allow Fubara to breathe. And I also say this to Shegu Oshoba. Do not take the quietness of Nigerians for granted. When you open your mouth to talk at this present state of our economy, be very mindful of what you say to the people.
All right, then. Thank you very much. That was really concise and precise.
Well, one, Wike cannot succeed as a godfather because there's a time to be born and there's a time to die. So I believe his time has expired in Rivers politics, and even if he's going to reassert himself, because we've had that happen in a state like Kano State, where Rabbi Musa Kwakwanso installing Ganduje, trying to be godfather, he failed, and he has come back to reassert himself by installing Abdul Kabir Yusuf. I don't think Nyesom Wike would have such privilege, but the future will determine that. Secondly, for Aremo Olusegun Oshoba, I think when you try to play the I love you more than God approach, you do damage when you think that, or when your calculation is to do a lot of good. So it is not until you come out and make such statement before the president can see you as his true supporter or his true friend. Now, having said that, the National Assembly, if the president wants a tenure elongation, I'm not sure that he won't get
set
it.
up a stopwatch to
time
time you.
Yeah. It's 1 minute on dot.
It's over a minute.
It's over a minute. Give me the views. Send me the views. Send me the views.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Deji Omoshola, Prince Francis Chilaka. We also had Barrister Henry Akine on the show. We must thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen, for staying with us. And, well, this is where we'll wrap up the conversation today. Thank you very much. Ensure that you be part of the conversation. Let's know your thoughts on the conversation so far. Drop it underneath the live stream right there on YouTube. And do well to click on the bell button, the notification bell, and be part of the family right here on VOP TV. On behalf of my colleagues, Chukuma Okoro, Fina Okechukwu, and the backroom staff, I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day. Stick around. 9 o'clock will be newspaper review with Chukuma and I. Don't go nowhere.